is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Nights, the official Star Wars podcast of Joy Clicks. This is episode 48. I'm your host, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie, as always, Mike Connors.
I'm feeling you through the holonet, or the Force. It's like the same thing, but not actually. What's up, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I heard you had classes today on this holiday of ours.
Yeah. The hell?
Labor Day is like kind of a lame holiday anyway. It's it's kind of like not a holiday at the same time.
Yeah, like I feel like you could tell me at any point during the year, it's like, oh, this Monday's Labor Day, and I'd be like, oh, cool, right? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, no, very true. I get the confused with Memorial Day, to be honest. Like,
sure.
They have the same sort of energy to me.
Yeah,
but that's beside the point.
Yeah, how are you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Nice.
Just hanging out. Read some Vader comics today, so it's a good day.
And we will get to that, of course. We're also going to be touching on this week. Mando season 2 got officially a date and some art. John Boyega had a very eye-opening interview with GQ. We will be touching on. The High Republic showed off their version of Yoda, which we knew was coming eventually, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And of course, some more info about Rey's lightsaber. But before any of that, it's time to pull from the Jedi Archives, our opening segment, where we pull from the sacred text of Wikipedia to give each other and viewers a little lesson in Star Wars. So, Mike, why don't you go first?
So, I don't know. Have we chosen Lobot before? Has any of us chosen Lobot?
I don't think so, but that's a good poll.
Okay, well, I chose Lobot. I thought he was an interesting poll because he kind of is in Empire Strikes Back and has a pretty focal role, but doesn't actually say anything or doesn't have his time in the sun. If you feel fair. But he also, according to Wikipedia, went by the nickname Lo.
Oh.
He was a male human, and he used the assistance of his AG-6 cyborg construct, and was paid to run battlefield calculations for the Empire. But he began working with Lando aboard the Millennium Falcon. Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. So would that place their friendship or coworker relationship pre-Solo?
I would say yeah, probably. Which makes me think if they made a Solo TV show or a Solo 2, as it's called, do you think Lobot would show up?
I would expect him to at that point.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. So that's a good one. That's a good poll. He always stood out to me. He sort of triggered the end of Empire, right? Like, he was awoken when they were trying to break him out. I remember that scene, when he's in his chamber, his eyes just shoot open.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it's not explained in the movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
other than Lando hits a few things on his wrist, and then Lobot wakes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting guy. I guess he's just friends with Lando. Pretty cool.
Yeah, good one.
What about you?
I polled FN2199, who is nicknamed Nines. He was a male stormtrooper who served the First Order in the decades following the Galactic Civil War. He served alongside his friend and brother-in-arms, FN2187. Following FN2187's desertion, Nines confronted his former comrade at the Battle of Takodana, where they fought each other on sight in single combat. Now, Mike, you may know Nines better as his other nickname in the fandom, TR8R.
Traitor!
Yep.
Yep.
So
yeah, he was actually killed by Han Solo, right?
He was, yeah. I just saw this. Died 34 ABY on Takodana, killed by Han Solo. So
that's right, yeah.
For just a little more insight, he's a human male. He's a redhead, blue eyes, fair complexion. Sounds just like Hux, honestly.
Yeah, why does he have red hair? That's kind of a weird detail.
A quirk, yeah. The First Order, I feel is always dark-haired white men. I guess Hux got lucky or something. So clearly Nines did not, though, because he had the honor of being murdered by one Han Solo.
That is the honor.
But that is the Jedi Archives for the week. As always, interesting little segment. I always love hearing what we got to pull from the sacred texts of Wikipedia. Now,
The Jedi Archives.
The Jedi Archives, of course. Now, Mike, I feel like most of these things are on the same level, so we could probably get the similar lengths of conversation out of each topic. Which one are you feeling talking about first? Let's just have a nice flow of a show today.
Well, why don't we lead off with like the most... I don't know. I feel like we talk about the Mandalorian all the time.
Yeah, you're right. Why don't we talk about this?
We should talk about that first.
Yeah, so Mando Season 2, bless you, immediately after we recorded last week, it was either within 12 hours or the same night, or I forget what it was. Regardless, the episode was already rendered. Mando Season 2 on Disney Plus, on Twitter. Oh, actually, my mistake. There's something very important here, because this was released Wednesday morning. Immediately after the next story, which we're probably going to talk about next. Mando Season 2 was officially announced via every single Disney Twitter account that's related to Disney Plus or Star Wars. It's similar to the logo of the main season where it says The Mandalorian, and you can see Mando walking in the text of the font. Before it was orange, now it's a little more blue. We're getting some cool color tones. It says The Mandalorian, and then we see, instead of where Mando would have been by his lonesome, we see Mando and Baby Yoda walking side by side.
Yeah. It looks like, I don't know, like it looks like they're on obviously some sort of like planet. I don't know where exactly that's supposed to be though.
Yeah.
It looks like it has, it's really hard to make out, but it looks like it has like those moisture things in the background.
Do you think that there's a chance it's Tatooine? Possibly.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It looks like whatever they're walking on is like reflected.
Yeah,
that might just be like that just might be a stylistic choice.
Yeah,
for the key art, but
yeah, there's not much to pull out of it outside of thematically comparing it to the original season's key art. But what's more interesting is the information that came along with the tweet. The tweet from every single account said, "This is the day. New episodes streaming October 30th on Disney Plus." Now, Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're in journalism. You know how press releases work. I read press releases all the time for a numerous amount of things.
Sure.
It's very deliberate what every single word is in some release. Now, this tweet says new episodes streaming October 30th. If it was just beginning then, I would have said new episodes begin streaming on October 30th. Or the new season begins October 30th. So do you think they're dropping? Do you think they're dropping a couple episodes instead of the first one-day one?
Yeah, very good catch. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have said that if they didn't mean it, I don't think. Yeah. So the way it was phrased was new episodes. Or how was it phrased? Starting? Or?
New episodes streaming October 30th on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that means that there are multiple episodes streaming that day.
Now
that's how I read it.
Netflix, we know, is pretty big on just dumping everything at once. Disney Plus, as we've seen, likes to go weekly. More recently, I know this past weekend, Amazon Prime debuted season 2 of The Boys, the hit show that they have, and they dropped
the first 3 episodes.
Yes, they did the first 3, and then every week after, it's going to be just single episodes.
Do you watch that show?
It's on the dock. It's like a day away from me just diving into that whole show.
Dude, I started watching it like this past week, and I binged the first season. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard it's great. I love Carl Urban. I love superheroes, so I know I'm going to have a great time with it.
Yeah, not Star Wars related, but very good show. And I do think that if not, like, you know, they released the entire season that day, I don't think they would do that. I see them going a bit more of the Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Route, for sure.
So, my next question then, I don't know if we know for sure how many episodes are in season 2. We could have had that confirmed at one point, but I can't pull it to my head right now. So I wonder if, say we did 2 or 3 episodes, right? I wonder if that means that we get like a full arc day one? Like, do we get a 3-episode arc, Clone Wars style? Do we get some sort of beginning, middle, end? Do they treat it like a feature almost, and then the rest of the season is the aftermath? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's possible that they start doing the arc thing, but it makes me wonder like how many episodes they're going to have in the season to begin with, and if it's anything like the first season, I think there were only 8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how they could like do an arc. Like, I don't know. I just think it would be more difficult. I don't know if they're necessarily to that point yet.
Yeah. I think if they were to do something like this, I could see maybe we do 2 side-by-side stories, like 2 stories going on at the same time. One about Mando and Yoda, maybe the other introducing Ahsoka.
Maybe.
And like, follow her until they meet up.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really up in the air exactly how this is going to work, because like we've talked about a lot on this podcast. The first season was very much just like thing of the week, like gig of the week in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And season 2, I think they have a chance to expand upon that and get a little bit mature with it, and kind of like push it forward a little bit and maybe go into the arcs thing. An arc doesn't even have to be 3 episodes; it could be 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if it is multiple, it could be 2.
Yeah.
Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but did we not see Disney Plus do something like this before with a show? I could have sworn there was a time where they dropped a couple episodes to start it. Like, did the Clone Wars do that? I know we weren't watching it.
They did that. Yeah, I think they did that with the Clone Wars, didn't they? I
think so. I think they might have done the first, like, the Bad Batch arc, maybe? Or maybe the first 2? I don't know.
Dude, I really think they may have. I don't exactly remember it for certain, because I don't think we followed it right at the beginning.
Right, we were still catching up.
So I'm not entirely sure, but it does sound like they... I remember them doing something like that. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
I kind of want to know.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could see maybe 2 episodes, even if it is just 8. And we catch up, see what ground has to be covered. Maybe it gives us a tease of what's to come in the season. Because I know there are a lot of people like you who want to see more of a narrative through line rather than just this week we're with Bill Burr, like this week we saved the village, like, which I get. And I think there's room for those kinds of episodes in an 8-episode season, but if we're jumping out the gate with 2 episodes, it makes me think there's a bit more of a through line, at least at the beginning.
Right. I think that we're going to get a little bit more of a arc sort of style in this next upcoming season. I just looked it up too. There's no set amount of episodes, though. I would imagine it's probably 8. If not 8, then like maybe 10. Yeah.
I think the case normally, I think, with television is that even for in between like a limited series and then a full like 22 episodes, like if something does well, this following season usually gets like a couple more. So yeah. I could see it. I could see Favreau be in a position where he's like, the story we want to tell, we know what we have to cover, we know what to cut out, so like it can still be a tight 8. I don't know. We'll see though.
So Clone Wars, actually, they all premiered on different dates.
Okay, well then what was it? Mando? Did Mando do this before? Like,
yeah, I think so. Actually, yeah, didn't it?
No,
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
for some reason, I do have that same like inkling though. I feel like the something else happens.
Well, regardless, it's coming October 30th. We are 7 days into September at this point. When are we getting a trailer?
Within the next 2 weeks.
I think you're right, yeah. I think before the last week of September, we have a trailer.
Oh yeah, no. So we will have a trailer in September sometime. If not September, then like extremely early October. But that's pushing it.
Yeah, I could also see a world where we just get like one thing. Like I could see one 90-second trailer for season 2, and then they split that up into TV spots and YouTube ads, and it's just that. Because I think what we saw with season 1 and Baby Yoda, like all you need is like 200 frames, so like a couple seconds of Baby Yoda in this trailer, and then bam, new GIF to spread everywhere, and then that's your viral marketing. You know, you don't need to cut a whole trailer.
It's so easy.
Yeah, it honestly is. He took over the world. Simpler times.
It really. So wait, what do you want to see in this trailer?
I'd like to see. Obviously, I'd like to see more of Mando and Baby Yoda, but I would kind of be more interested to see, like, touch base with some of the supporting cast. You know, like see Grief Karga in some way, see Cara Dune, see like what's going on with them. Maybe something with Gideon, like, because we kind of know what to expect with Mando and Baby Yoda, right? Like they're gonna be together, they're gonna be looking for a thing. Like I'm kind of interested to see what extent the supporting cast is gonna have, and maybe some new characters too.
I mean, maybe the better question is, what don't we want to see in this trailer?
I don't want to see a ton of like winky stuff, you know? Like, oh look, it's a battle droid, or oh look, it's Rex, or oh. Like, I think you can do Ahsoka, and I think the Ahsoka reveal makes sense. I think if you want to showcase a clone armor or something, that could be cool, but like, don't go too hard. Don't be like, oh look, now Bosk is here too. Like, if that's in the season, it's fine. But for a trailer, like, don't do that.
So you would be fine with seeing Ahsoka in the trailer?
Yeah, just like I'm talking like a tease, right? We talked a little bit last week how Kessel Run Transmissions was saying that like the Ahsoka trailer that was shot is just her in a bar beating up some thugs. Like,
yeah.
If it's something on that extent that's just a tease, and again, maybe not even part of the season, just shot for advertising, I don't mind seeing her.
I don't mind seeing her either. Actually, I think that would be pretty clever of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it should be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
Not this week of September 7th, but next week we'll get a trailer.
Okay.
That's a prediction.
So do you think by next episode? Because we have a couple of days in the week.
Yeah, well, we have bad luck sometimes, so I think it's going to be one of those things that we'll record the episode and then it'll drop.
Yeah, much like this news.
Basically.
Well, that's going to do it for Mando Season 2, but very similar to this story breaking, a bit too late for us to cover. There was also a GQ interview with one John Boyega, the only celebrity I will continue liking for the rest of my life. Basically going in depth about what this year has been like for him as a black man in the entertainment industry, in the globe, like the wakes across the world of everything. Obviously, he had a very big speech that was shown everywhere, right? Like that gained so much traction.
Yeah, it was at that protest, right?
Right. And he had some very interesting things to say about his experience with Star Wars. And I saw... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to say that I don't think that we could do his words justice, so everybody should go read the article, because it's fascinating. Really. Yeah.
And it's not just about Star Wars. Like, he goes in depth a bit about his history and his journey to becoming John Boyega that we all know.
Yeah. It's really it's a really well written.
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, again, the article is more than just Star Wars, but he does touch on it because it's been his life the last 5 years, and he's finally free to speak freely about it.
And oh boy, does he speak freely about
it. Yes, he does. And it was very refreshing. So basically, the gist of what he said is that he said himself, but he also brushed in Kelly Marie Tran and Oscar Isaac, but specifically himself, the only person in the cast of Star Wars who's been treated a specific way because of his race.
I don't think. I mean, like, I feel like Kelly Marie Tran, like.
Yes, I think he was referring more to like from the core, because it was like it's Rey, Finn, and Poe. That was the staple. This is who we're selling. But absolutely, yeah. He brought her up a couple times of like saying how horrible it was for her. But yeah, I think his words were very true to what a lot of people suspected of that we really had no plan. Like, he touched a lot on what it was like, and I never even considered this, right? How he was told and under the assumption that going into 7, he was going to be a Jedi, or he was going to be a lead character in a way that had some weight to it. And the entire marketing, right? Yeah. Well, the only thing he clarified there, I think, is that the entire marketing campaign was operating under the assumption that John Boyega is going to be a lead character, going to be a Jedi, because he was the one with the lightsaber on the official poster. He was the one with the lightsaber in the trailers. Like, you have that, you give that to him, and then you strip it away from him. Like, everybody was like, oh, sweet, it's actually Rey, cool surprise, but nobody ever talked about, or at least what I saw from discourse online, nobody ever talked about what it would have been like for John Boyega as a person, and what that could have been symbolically, to have that just ripped away from you, and then for the next 2 movies just be resorted to, like, comedic relief and screaming. Like,
yeah, comedic relief, screaming, and, like, honestly, like, he was kind of just, you know, put there for his race, and it's obvious. Like, I feel like they used it for sure.
Yeah, and he feels the exact same way. He did not shy away from that.
No, and I mean, like, how could like, I don't blame him. Like, the whole marketing thing was just like, oh, you know, this, you know, former stormtrooper who's black is going to be a Jedi, and, like, people were like, oh wow, that's cool and different and new, and then, like, the movie came out and it was, you know, this white chick, which is kind of like a huge, like, you know, I totally see where he's coming from. And not to mention, like, even in The Rise of Skywalker, I think it's even more of a slap in the face that they made him force sensitive and they did nothing.
Yeah,
it's almost like, oh, like, you were so hyped to, like, be a Jedi, and, like, people thought that you were going to be a Jedi, and then you know, we're gonna make you a force sensitive person, just sort of a you know, as a gag. Which is, like, such a slap.
Yeah, I believe the direct quote is, they knew fuck all about writing me as a character. Like, me, John Boyega, who I am as a person, a character in Star Wars.
No, yeah, can I read one of these quotes?
Please do.
This is the one that really, like, stuck out.
Yeah, he can, like you said at the top of it, like, read his words about it, because, like, we're 2 white dudes, you know, like, we don't understand what this is, but, like, the fact that he's speaking out about it is, I think, worth talking about, you know. But
this specific quote from John Boyega, he swears, and I'm just gonna drop the F-bomb.
Go for it.
So he says, quote, like, you guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley, you knew what to do with Adam Driver, you knew what to do with these other people, but when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, you knew fuck all. So what do you want me to say? What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience. Nah. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows. I'm not exposing anything.
He's not.
That's like, powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I just really respect it. You know, we see so many times, like, even within Star Wars, like, just looking at other people, right? Like, I think there was that video on YouTube that got, like, similar to the Game of Thrones thing, of, like, over 1 million views, of, like, the Star Wars cast already being done with episode 9 or something, and, like, they're interviewing them on the red carpet, and, like, they ask Kelly Marie Tran, like, oh, what was it like for you with episode 9? And then she just laughs. She's like, oh. Like, man, like, I'm glad he's speaking on this. I hope it doesn't affect his career, because that could easily happen, right? I'm sure he even talks about it in a way that, like, he doesn't care, you know, because it seemed that he cares more about, based on the experience he had, what really matters to him in his life, and the whole, like, game of Hollywood and, like, being very cordial with one another, like, does not matter when it comes to issues like this, and I'm glad he's addressing it.
I mean, a lot of the message that he tries to get across in this article is just like, you know, people need to speak out, and when they think there are injustices that are happening in this world, like, he has felt as though, like, he was used, and I don't blame him.
Yeah,
he definitely was, and it's pretty messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, mad respect for him going out and saying what he has to say. I think he knew exactly what he was trying to do. He would have done this. You know, like
Yeah.
it was obvious he wanted to stir the pot, but I think it's it's good. It's good trope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it was good. And again, the entire interview is very interesting, very worth reading. He had a lot of really good insight about this year and his career in general. Some very interesting stories about his life.
What do you think this says about like the corporatization of Star Wars in general?
I don't know, because here's the thing. Like, I'm glad you asked that, because I feel like that has to be addressed, and Disney and Lucas, I don't even know like how far down it goes into like the direct overview, because he said he was cool with JJ, like in the interview he's like, I don't want people trash talking my boy JJ about this. Like he really made it interesting in the way he was addressing blame, I guess, or just who was responsible for the way things turned out, because that wasn't even the focus of what he was trying to say. But regardless,
no, but there are those undertones for sure.
Yeah, I think it's worth bringing that question up, because within an hour, right? Like, I woke up pretty early Wednesday morning. I saw this and I read the whole thing. And then maybe like an hour and a half after that was posted, and then like the West Coast was starting to wake up, that's when the Mando news dropped. So, seems like it was a little too much of a coincidence, try to overshadow this hush-hush news about John Boyega speaking out against his Star Wars experience, and then being like, Mando Season 2, like...
Yeah, it's definitely coordinated.
Yes. But to your question about like how that affects corporate Star Wars, I don't know if it will.
No, I'm not saying how it affects corporate Star Wars. I guess to me, this is sort of like an indictment of like how the corporatization of Star Wars has kind of like made it. I don't know. It's not as genuine, like in some ways.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that at all.
No, I'm with you there, just because of like the hindsight of it, and it just confuses me so much because, like, I'm a Marvel fan. I like the MCU. I feel like the MCU, especially recently, has been pretty good about this. So I don't know if it's just because of who's in charge. Maybe because like the MCU has Kevin Feige. Yeah, it took them a long time to actually get a diverse thing going, and we're still like the ball is still beginning to roll when it comes to that front. But like Black Panther was a cultural moment, right? That movie was huge. That is more than a film for what they wanted to do with that. And
sure.
Like Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm, I know there might not be a lot of crossover, but like they're both owned by Disney. They're two of the biggest franchises ever. You think there would be some sort of merging of strategies? I don't know. Is that why Kevin Feige is being brought in to sort of like course correct more in just like a systematic way? Like I don't know.
I think it really kind of all comes down to the fact that they didn't have a vision. They just didn't have a set out vision from when they made Episode 7. They didn't know how Episode 9 was going to end. And so, when you do stuff like that, things are going to develop halfway through, and characters are going to drop, and things are going to be different, and maybe John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran were kind of just a casualty of the chaos, of just like the production of everything. Not to say that makes it okay. It doesn't at all, but it seems as though Marvel, maybe they have the formula down a little bit more. Maybe they could. I don't know. This is just me speculating. It's a tough question. I don't think there's really an answer to it. Interesting article. Definitely, everybody should go read it.
Absolutely. I'll throw the link to it in the description on YouTube if anybody wants to check that out.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the next story. Mike, I'm going to read through the High Republic excerpt about this Yoda concept art. We have a quote from Daniel Jose Older. Quote, "It's especially exciting to be able to introduce Yoda in the era of the High Republic. The High Republic Yoda is a journeyman out in the galaxy. While he's already a respected member of the Jedi Council at this point. We meet Yoda in IDW's The High Republic Adventures comic series, doing what he loves best, looking out for the young folks. In this case, a group of Padawans traveling around the galaxy to learn the ways of the Jedi with a hands-on approach. The Force Study Abroad program, basically. End quote. So
he's just like an explorer, kind of.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, right? Like, we know Yoda so much as the wise old master in the chair, so, like, seeing him sort of be a, like, chaperone, in a way, is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and also the fact that he is on the Jedi Council already means that by the time of the prequels, he's, like, in his, 400th year?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, so at this point he's got, 350 on Baby Yoda?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Mm-hmm. There was also concept art that was released alongside this. I don't know if you saw it. There were 2 images. There was, like, one of him in Jedi Temple robes and one in what looked like a more practical tunic.
Yes. He just looks like a young version of himself.
Yeah, he's, like, not a slouch. It looks like he has, like, a full straight posture. No hair. So
no white hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see hair in general, so I wonder if he's, like, shaving that, and then he just lets it grow out when he's older to just symbolize some wisdom or something.
I don't know, but he does look very much the same, I have to say.
Yeah, pretty much. He definitely looks like he might be carrying some more weight, some more muscle maybe. Just because he's out there in the everyday sort of work, not just the my mind is my weapon sort of thing.
I want to see a ripped Yoda.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, do you think, when I heard young Yoda, this isn't what I really thought, but I know some people thought this when they were like, I don't want to see young Yoda, like, they were thinking, like, bearded Yoda, like, long black hair, like... Yeah, nah, that's not
exactly what I was hoping for. I do want to see a ripped Yoda. I want to see Yoda with a 6-pack.
Yeah, I think we might. Next time we do another Republic era, when maybe we do the midway between the Old Republic and the High Republic, Yoda's 200, ripe 200 years old. Then he's got the shredded abs.
Yeah, he's at peak performance right there.
Yeah, so...
I think these photos, or this concept art of Yoda right now, he's like middle-aged Yoda.
Yeah, he's probably like, what would you say the equivalent is? Like
crisis.
Yeah, like Qui-Gon, kind of.
Probably.
Like Qui-Gon in Episode 1 or Master and Apprentice. Like, he's still kicking ass, but he's aging.
I'd say equivalent of like late 40s.
Yeah, I think that's right. So... does this change anything for you with the High Republic? Does this get you more excited, less excited?
I was already excited for it. We all knew that Yoda was going to be in it anyway. To be honest, like, it doesn't, it just sounds cool to know that we're going to be able to see what he was up to before the prequels. It was always good to get some of that world building.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that it makes me. I'm just as excited as I was before.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just cool to see him, in a way that seems still authentic and is genuinely something new for Yoda. So I'm curious how in depth we go with that, or how focal he is. If he's just like an ancillary character, because he hasn't been in the concept art so far. I don't know if that's indicative of how big of a player he's going to be, or if they wanted to be a specific reveal like this was. So, don't know.
I don't know.
One other thing we found out this past week was from a book detailing information about lightsabers, information behind the scenes stuff about the making of some Star Wars movies. Specifically, we got some insight about Rey's lightsaber. Mike sent this to me. I thought it was very interesting. Got a little textual confirmation on some things we all assumed. The highlights were that Rey used her quarterstaff as inspiration for her lightsaber that we see her use in the end of Episode 9. They mentioned again that it's the first on-screen film appearance of a yellow lightsaber. However, the Jedi Temple guards have been seen using them in animation, as we saw in Clone Wars earlier this year.
The yellow blades are very much prevalent in expanded universe.
For sure. My Cal Kestis had a yellow lightsaber, so
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But one of the other interesting things I found was that the gear thing that we all assumed is how her saber worked. You know, at the end of the movie, she turns the gear on top of it, and that ignites it. I think they contextualized it with saying that that's a bit more of a sturdy thing, so it won't like accidentally shut off or something. Like, it's a hefty hilt, bulkier than other hilts, just so it can withstand some durability. So I feel like that's also sort of going in line with the fact that it's insinuated that Rey's going off to reform the Jedi, pass on what you've learned, all that stuff. So if she's traveling all over the place, she's going to Tatooine on a Wednesday night to bury some lightsabers, you're going to have to get your hands dirty, right? So having a chunkier lightsaber, I feel like, makes some sense.
Definitely. So yeah, it does that explicitly makes it resistant to impact and wear and tear. And I do think the rotating gear is definitely a different sort of thing for a lightsaber, but I like it.
Yeah, I do too. It's pretty cool. I'm kind of surprised.
I was going to say, I wish that we were able to see a little bit more of this lightsaber.
I'm sure we will in Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same, Christian.
Yeah, I know. You can get your hands on it in Battlefront 2 as well if you want to see a more Daisy Ridley looking model. You can get the Rey Skywalker skin. I think that's unlocked. Honestly, I think you can just play that. I think I have that.
I think that's open for like everybody. So
pretty cool. Was there any other big takeaway for you out of that?
Not really. I just thought it was an interesting thing that we would be interested in talking about very briefly. Yeah,
it's cool. I'm kind of surprised we never seen more of a exploring the switches of a lightsaber. You know, like get bop it with it. Like, it just really go off for all those things. How can you ignite it? You bop it, you twist it, you pull it. You
that's what I want. I want a lightsaber bop it toy.
Yeah.
Actually, for Christmas, I got a Chewbacca bop it toy, and it's like you pull Chewbacca's arm down and bop his head and stuff. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Speaking of Star Wars merch, this isn't on the doc, but
yeah,
earlier this month, I think we're one weekend. Earlier this year, when I was looking at Star Wars Lego merch, they said they were stocking a bunch of these things in September. I don't know if all this stuff went out September 1st to ship or if COVID impacted it, but I was on the Lego Star Wars website last night because I was telling my friend, I was like, hey, $30, you can get Anakin's Lego Starfighter. That's a pretty good deal.
That is a great deal.
So I went there, but all the Lego sets that they were reprinting this year or doing new runs of from legacy stuff, back ordered. So.
Oh wow! So those are going to be delayed as well.
Seems like it, yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah, you wanted your Razor Crest for $140. I know I did.
That's right. Yeah, I got to wait a little bit longer for that now.
Yeah, and my bank account will thank me for waiting. I'm sure.
Probably, yeah.
But that brings us to our homework for this week: Vader Volume 2, Vader Dark Lord of the Sith Volume 2, specifically. Yes. By Charles Soule.
How did you read this? Comixology?
I did. Comixology. We talked about it a bit on our last Vader review of being split sort of on physical and you love to see it. Listeners, Mike is now holding up 2 issues, it looks like, or 2 volumes.
This is together a volume 2.
Okay, so some trade paperbacks of Vader Volume 2, which you love to see.
Right.
Yeah, there's just really no comic places near me. There's a Newberry Comics around, but I don't think they carry anything outside of, The Dark Knight Returns. I don't think Newberry Comics is a comic shop, honestly.
Honestly, funny enough, I did get this at Newberry Comics. But it was, on sale. I normally don't go to Newberry Comics because, where I live, there are actually some decent, indie comic shops around, so I feel bad that I bought this at Newberry Comics, but it was, $10 each.
Nice.
So, you had to.
For sure. But yeah, I read it on Comixology, which, yeah, I got it for, pennies, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we read Volume 2 of Charles Soule's Vader Dark Lord of the Sith run. I feel like I walked away from this one not as hot as the first one.
Yeah.
I think if anything, what this did is just get me more excited for Light of the Jedi, because I think if anything, these Vader reviews and readings have shown me that not only is Charles Soule apparently an okay lawyer, but he's a good Star Wars writer.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what sort of connection those two things have, but he's both a good Star Wars writer and a good lawyer, I guess.
That surprised me so much. Like, are you the one who told me that? Because I had no idea.
I think so. I think he went to like Columbia too, so he's like, seems like a smart guy.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, so I guess really in volume 2, I would say that there are two main overall like story arcs. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
We have the whole thing on Mon Cala, and then we have Darth Vader building his fortress.
Yeah, the fortress was the thing that was most interesting for me, because
really,
yeah, like not necessarily while reading it, but just like the concept of it, because I always loved like in Rogue One where it was like Vader's castle. Because I knew Vader's castle was a thing in the EU before Rogue One, but being recanonized in Rogue One, Fortress Vader, I think is the full name of it. I don't think it's actually like Vader's castle, but it's Vader's castle. Cool concept to me. I like that. I like the idea of Darth Vader just having a place. We've talked about it before. He built his home where he died, so it's just a constant burn of hatred that fuels his Sith energy. Like, I think that's cool.
I think that's what does Palpatine say to him? Like, oh, like you're a real Sith or something like that.
Yeah. So that was fun, right? Like that's goofy Star Wars, and I think that fits a comic, right? Like you can't get we talked about this before as well. I don't think you can make a series about Vader building his fortress, as much as I'd love that. So I think it works in a comic, and I thought it was entertaining. And where Volume 1 was sort of like, oh, cool, we get to explore more of inside Vader's head. This was more of that, but I think because the Fortress thing was so different and so comic booky, that's what I latched onto the most.
Yeah, from what I know, what do you know about Vader Immortal?
So I know there's a character in it called the Black Bishop, and I know people thought that that character might have actually been Snoke. Obviously debunked, because we know, obviously, that Palpatine created Snoke.
Obviously.
Yes, obviously, as we all knew the whole time. But, yeah, I know it's that. I know you play as a smuggler who gets caught up in something with Vader, and you eventually can use a lightsaber. That's all I know.
I know that I don't know much about Vader Immortal, but I know that you go to Mustafar. And there's something that has to do with, like, Vader trying to talk to Padme, which is similar to this comic book, using the I don't know what they call it, like the locus of the of the dark side, and like this cave in Mustafar. Interesting. Yeah, so I think that there's some sort of overlap between the two, though I'm not like super well versed in Vader Immortal to be completely sure on that.
Right. And speaking of Vader Immortal, one of my friends picked it up because he also has a PlayStation VR. But he has the wand sticks too. He bought them a while ago, so I was like, you know what, you did it. You're the one who's gonna report to this for me.
Have they played it yet? Or?
Yeah, so he played a little bit of it. He said it's a little buggy. He said a couple times after like a scene, he would be spawned to have control like too far away from an object, and he like can't reach it, and there's no way for him to get out of that. So I think he has to reset it. So he hasn't played it a ton, but he said from what he did play, the stuff where it worked was very cool. So
yeah, I've seen like a little bit about it on like YouTube and stuff, but other than that, I don't have a PlayStation, so that's not really on the cards for me right now.
Right. That's besides the point, though. What stood out to you out of this volume? Was there anything specific? You brought up the Padme thing. Like, where are you with your takeaways?
Well, I think my takeaways from this whole run is that I think it does a good job sort of getting into Vader's head a little bit. it does. It's a lot of like, oh, like look at Darth Vader, he can like beat up everybody.
Yeah.
Which is like cool, like
Mm-hmm.
and true. And like that's stuff that you want to see from a comic book, but it does do a lot of interesting stuff with I don't know, like really like diving deep into his psyche. A lot of the periods in which like he's meditating, and it's like that cool art where like he turns into like this like swirly body that like I don't know. It's just very interesting to see him sort of struggle very soon after Revenge of the Sith with the fact that he's turned to the dark side and the fact that he's lost the person that he loves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you take out of all of this?
As a whole, the entire experience, like, yes, mostly what you're saying, being able to see Vader in a time that I feel like isn't probably explored enough for being the main character of Star Wars.
Fair.
Like, it's cool. I'm with you. I think the way they visually convey that through a comic book is something that you have a lot more leeway in comics than you do on film, where I think same thing with animation, like experimenting with the weird stuff of Star Wars, like sort of visualizing that meditative state that you were talking about. Again, I think works here and is a story worth telling and exploring. And as cool as it would be to, get a full feature-length thing about Vader in his prime, or even a miniseries, like, I think this is the avenue to do it. I would take more of this, absolutely, I would take more of this, I think. But, yeah, overall, I thought it was good. It colored Vader a little deeper for me, just like Clone Wars did.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good for the character. I mean, so now that you've like really read, now that we've both really read through this run, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that telling stories about Darth Vader is better through this kind of medium, or would you still want to see it tried, like through TV show or something like that?
I mean, I'd love to see it through TV, but if I saw it through TV, I know it would be what I want is not what we get. Like, I would want it to be like very introspective, very quiet, very boring, but just like raw. And I know that's not what we're gonna get if we get a Star Wars series about Darth Vader, right? Like, it's gonna be 6 episodes of just the end of Rogue One. Like, that's what the series would be. It's like, yeah, cool, but you can't, like, what's the point of that? Just to get some more cool gifs of Darth Vader? Like, what's the biggest takeaway there?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. I feel like it would be hard to do sort of that like introspective thing.
Yeah.
Through TV or through screen.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this a little bit, and we were on the same page with it, I think. But what this got for me the most is that I just really want to see a maybe like 10 to 15 hour Darth Vader video game. That is, you play as him. Like, that is it. Like, you can showcase all the badass Vader action. You can be his prime Sith Lord stuff. But I think in a video game, since there's like inherently more time to breathe, you can get away with more of the quiet moments that I would want out of a series, right? Because if you have a series, it's a lot more. It's like, okay, well, do we want to have Vader staring out into the void of space for 10 minutes and he just like inner monologues, or do you want to have him like cut down some Wookiees? Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Just a 10 to 15 hour video game of the beginning of The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, because I think it's easier to nail that balance in a video game where more people get what they want out of it, right? Like, the takeaways we had of Vader as a person from this comic, I think you can also pull from a game and still at the same time represent the side of him that is just this like ferocious warrior, So that's what I want mostly.
All right. Well, Disney, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Darth Vader video game now.
Yeah, hire Sony Santa Monica, the people that made God of War 2018. Just make a Darth Vader game. Just do it.
One thing I want to say about this, I really do enjoy that whole arc with like Mount Kala and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about this like maybe a few episodes ago. I was like trying to remember whether like their ships were used as like like places for them to like live on their planets. And I was right.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool to like see that. I always liked like Admiral Raddus and Admiral Akbar and stuff like that. Interesting that only 3 of those ships escaped Mon Cala.
Yeah. That was another thing too, because like we know I like rain in Star Wars. As a whole, I like water in Star Wars as well. So like,
yeah,
seeing more of like water planets, yes, you know, like anytime we got a chance to do some underwater thing, I'm into it. Despite being terrified of it in real life, in Star Wars, it's wonderful. So
yeah. I didn't know are you scared of the water in real life?
Scared of the ocean.
Really?
Terrified.
Okay.
Yep, I hate it. Terrified. I'll go waist up. That's it. I'm not even happy about that.
Honestly, man, I don't blame you. It's scary. Like, you could get just like sucked out in there forever.
Yeah, man. Like, it's so easy to get pulled into a riptide. You look down, you don't know what's down there. You can't even see your feet, especially in New England. Like, you go into the water, it's like, hey, good luck seeing past your waist. Like, exactly. You don't know what's down there. Bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish.
Always. You're not an exception.
Exactly. And also, it's super cold in New England. So what's the point?
Exactly. Like, if it's crystal clear, I'll go out as far as I can swim and like be able to come back. So
like the Bahamas or something.
Sure.
You just need to go to the Bahamas, Christian.
Yeah, if I can like see what's beneath me, that's fine. But yeah,
or you just need to go to Mon Cala.
Yeah, that too. That would work. So, overall though, I'm glad we did this. This is, I believe, the end of Soul's Vader writing, correct?
I believe so. I mean, I think that this is the end of the Dark Lord of the Sith run. I don't think there's anything after that.
Right, because I know he also wrote the run that I referenced before, where it's like he has the scene with Boba Fett, and he's like Skywalker. Like,
yeah,
there was that as well. But I
don't know how much he wrote of that though. Did he write the whole thing?
I don't know. I might have just been confused the fact that he wrote this with him writing that one. That could be completely the case. What was that you cut out for a sec?
I said I don't know.
Okay.
I would like to listen. I would like to read the other Darth Vader run.
Yeah. But if we don't want to commit to anything yet, I can do a little more research between episodes, and then if we find out that he wrote more Vader, we can continue exploring that, because I really am enjoying it. Like I think Clone Wars this year gave me a greater appreciation for Anakin / Vader. So being able to explore more of the Vader side that I feel like we don't get to see a ton in animation or on screen, it's been really interesting.
I think that other run is longer too, so there would be more for us to read, I believe. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. Okay. Yeah, we can look into it between episodes. All right. But speaking of, I think that's going to wrap episode 48 of Jedi Knights. So, Mike, thank you for joining as always. Oh yeah, man, a pleasure. It's always a good time. It's a highlight of the week. Absolutely. Mondays, yeah. I was gonna say gives me an excuse to read comics. So yeah, and books. We'll get back to the books eventually. That's right. Yeah. So until then, though, where can people find you? You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors. Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris N. Buckley. This show's Twitter account is at Jedi Knights JC on Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're on youtube.com/joyclicks, where we have a variety of other shows, including this one. Podcasts, lists, individual videos, streams. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. We are very close to 2,000 subs. So if you are just a listener, you never check out the YouTube channel, just go over there and give it a little scroll. See if anything interests you. If it does, you can sub. I mean, the clicking the subscribe buttons, doesn't take that much effort. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, it takes even less effort, Mike, especially if you're just listening to the show. What's that? You can just go straight over to the show page on Apple Podcasts, tap that 5-star button, then you're done. That is. I honestly, if you even just do that, that's good enough. Absolutely, yeah. Any little support, any clicking of a single button helps the show out a ton, and we appreciate it as always. Always.
And if you're feeling generous and you want to go above and beyond that, you can go to patreon.com/joyclicks, where at the $2 tier, you can get influence over this show, submitting questions, topics, talking points, controversies, debates on what's the best of the best in Star Wars. And $1 tier gets you early access to other shows, including this one, and the $5 tier gets you producer credit. So, lots of ways to get involved with the show and with us. But that's going to do it as always. It's been a pleasure, Mike. Until next week.
Always.
We're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the force be with you.
Now, how do I do this? How do I replay the Jedi Knights outro? That was an issue.
Hello there.
Okay, there we go.